Hello, thank you for watching this video. Today, we will talk about the different information products that grocery stores have so that we can learn how they can help us make the healthiest and cheapest decisions possible. This is the fourth video in our nutrition series. So we will be referencing some stuff that we've already talked about, and feel free to go back to our previous videos in this series. They are all posted on our website. So let's get started. We are going to talk about navigating the grocery store. Just as a form of introduction, who we are Latinas Contra Cancer, a nonprofit organization in San Jose established in 2003 to provide cancer education, patient navigation, and psychosocial support to Latino families facing cancer. Our goal is to provide greater access to high quality medical care and connect to Latino support agencies. And like always, I will be using this little red dot to point some stuff out. So make sure to look at that. Okay, so most of the information we will talk about today applies only to packaged foods, not fresh food. So fresh food like fruits and vegetables do not have all the things that we will talk about, like the nutrition label shown here, because they are not modified by humans. Fruits and vegetables and fresh food is not modified by humans or made in a lab or a factory. So then the regulations and the information presented in like nutrition label, for example, is not really relevant because it's just the fruit itself. It's something natural and organic. So packaged foods that tend to be mostly made in the factories. So as a result of this, packaged foods have to have nutrition labels so that we can know what's in the product. And it's a law that what a nutrition label says has to be true. So that's what the government says. So that's why nutrition labels are important. The nutrition labels give us all the information about the nutrients that are in the packaged food. And it is important that we know how to read a nutrition label, because if we just glance at it really quickly, we might misunderstand the nutrient content in the food. So up here, we get the serving size, this in yellow. We get the serving size and the total amount of servings in the package. So the serving size, where it says here, serving size 2/3 cup or 55 grams, the serving size is the amount of food that is represented by the information in the label. So for example, it says here, let's assume that, I don't know what this is, but like, let's assume that this is a bag of rice. So this is saying that in 2/3 of a cup of this rice, there are 230 calories, and all this stuff applies to only 2/3 of a cup of that rice. And in this whole bag, there are 8 servings. So if a serving size is 55 grams, then in the whole bag, there are 8 times 55 grams. So there are a total of 440 grams of total rice in the bag. But the nutrition information shown in the nutrition label only applies to 55 grams of that rice. And again, I'm just pretending this is a bag of rice, but it would be whatever it is that is the packaged food. Okay, under the serving size, we have the calories per serving. So in this case, this means that 55 grams of this rice is 230 calories. So it's the calories per serving size. This does not mean that the whole bag of rice has 230 calories, is per serving size. Under this, we have specific nutrient amounts. So we get how much total fat, total cholesterol, total carbs, total sodium, total carbohydrates there are in each serving size. Again, it's per serving size. Then some of these are broken down into specific categories. So like saturated and trans fat, how much fiber and total sugars. This category here is really important because it tells you how many added sugars there are in the food. So this is sugars that did not come naturally from the food. These are sugars that were added artificially by the manufacturer. So a fruit, like we talked about, has fructose inside it naturally. That's the sugar that's naturally in a fruit. So if this for some reason was the if let's say like a can of peaches, when you see the nutrition label of that can of peaches here, if it has added sugars, that's not referring to the sugar that is naturally in the peach, the fructose that naturally comes in the peach if you picked it out of a tree. That will be in the total sugars. But then added sugars would be like, for example, maybe the manufacturers of that can of peaches put sugar in the syrup. So that would count as added sugar. They physically put spoons of sugar in when they were making the syrup. That's an example of an added sugar. If that can of peaches is just completely just the peach, they didn't add anything, then it would say 0 here for added sugars, and it would be like whatever amount of sugar there naturally is in that serving size of peaches. So whatever would be like in the tree when you pick out the peach out of the tree. Um, okay. However, if this label was a brownie instead of like a fresh peach or something like that, if it was a brownie, then it would have added sugar because even if you've made brownies from scratch, like you add like a cup of like table sugar, right? So that's an added sugar. So this area here is very important and often a surprising section of a nutrition label because it's important because we want to minimize the amount of added sugars we consume, as we talked about, because excess fructose can be directly turned into fat, so that can make us gain weight and have a caloric imbalance. But it's also interesting because you'd be surprised how many things that we don't think should have added sugars have added sugars. So I'm always surprised when I look at that part of a nutrition label, especially when I started learning about this stuff. I would just keep look at nutrition labels for everything, and I was so surprised because I didn't think these things would have added sugars. Okay. Um, Next we have the percent daily value. So that's this side of this blue. Oh, I'm supposed to be moving along. Yes. So here we have the calories per serving. We have specific nutrient information and added sugars, and this is all again per serving size. So the percent daily value, um, it tells you down here what it is. Usually it will tell you what the percent daily value is, but it is basically the percentage of how much you should eat for each nutrient every day that a serving of this food makes up. So for example, again, the serving size of this, let's say bag of rice is 55 grams, and this product that makes up 10% of the total amount of the fat you should consume in a day. So 55 grams of this product has 10% of the total fat you should eat in a day. So that's what that percentage means. It's the percentage that of how much you should eat of each nutrient every day that this serving makes up. Another example here is says 20% for the added sugars. So 55 grams of this bag of rice has 20% of the total amount of added sugars that you should eat every day. And that's basically an average according to the FDA. If you remember from the last presentation, how many calories and how much of each nutrient you should eat every day really depends from person to person. It depends on your age, your weight, etc. If you're really overweight and you want to lose weight, for example, this might be a lot higher. It might be 30% or 40% of what you should eat every day. So it can really depend from person to person, but this daily value percentage is a good estimate so that you can get an idea of how much of this product you should be eating in a day. So take it with a grain of salt, definitely, but it's a good estimate. Down here, sometimes you get some information about some vitamins and other nutrients that are in the product, again, per serving. And below or next to the nutrition label is usually the ingredient list, and we'll talk about that separately. So now let's look at some examples of real nutrition labels. Most nutrition labels, most of the pictures of the nutrition labels I have here and the prices come from pictures that I took personally when I went to different stores. So they're not cited because I took the pictures, but these are definitely things and they're recent. So it's not from a long, long time ago. So these are all things that are in products that we eat right now. So this is a Maruchan instant noodle package, and this is what the nutrition label looks like. So one of these containers, the serving size is one container, one package. So therefore, the serving size per container is just one because it's the whole package, the serving size. One container is a total of 290 calories, so that doesn't seem too bad for a meal. But one package has a total of 11 grams of total fat, 5 of which are saturated fats, and that's a pretty big percentage of what you should have in one day. This is and remember that saturated fats are the bad quote unquote bad fats that can clog our arteries and lead to heart disease if consumed in excess. So a little bit worrisome here. There's no cholesterol, but one single package has more than 1,000 milligrams of sodium. One single package alone has half of it, so that's the 50%. It has half of the total sodium we should consume each day. That's a lot. So if you have two of these, which honestly they're pretty small for an adult, if you have two of these, then you can't have any more, or you're not supposed to have any more sodium for the rest of the day, because that's already met your total amount of required sodium. There's also some carbs and some fiber, small amounts of fiber in the package, probably from the noodles, because noodles are carbohydrates. And then no added sugars, which is good. So these are here, the sodium and the saturated fats are pretty high, and that might be some reason why you might not want to consider eating Maruchan noodles very often, or especially feeding it to a child, because they could develop a taste for sodium. And remember that consuming too much sodium and too much saturated fats can lead to hypertension and heart disease. So those sodium and saturated fats are pretty high for such a small container, to be honest. Here's a nutrition label of a basic package of Oreo cookies. So it says there are 160 calories, 2 grams of per serving size, right? So amounts per serving size, 160 calories per serving size, 2 grams of saturated sugar, saturated fat, which is around 10% of the total amount of saturated fats we should consume in a day, some sodium, uh, some carbs, and 14 grams of added sugars, which is a whopping 28% of the total amount of added sugars we should eat in a day. Now, this doesn't seem too bad if we were to talk about the whole package, but this is why it's important to look at the serving size, which I purposely covered to make my point that this added sugar information corresponds to only 3 cookies, which is not a lot. So if we just eat 3 cookies, we would have already consumed 1/4 or more than 25% of the added sugars we should eat in a day. So if we eat 12 cookies, we shouldn't eat anything else that has added sugar. And a lot of things have added sugar, so it's really hard to avoid it. So Oreos don't have a whole lot of nutritional values. You can see um, by the carbohydrates, the fiber, the vitamins. So they don't have a whole lot of nutritional value, and they have quite a bit of bad fats and a lot of sugar, and not a whole lot of good carbs or vitamins and minerals, which might explain why they taste really good and feel addicting, because they have a lot of sugar and fat, which tastes really good, at least to me. So that might explain why it tastes so good, but they're not really that good for us, as you can see. Okay, moving on to the next piece of information packaged food gives us. We have the ingredient list. It lists all the ingredients, and ingredient lists all the ingredients that are in a product in order from highest amount to lowest amount. And this has to be true according to the law again. So for example, if let's say if you've ever made if you ever baked, these are some really basic ingredients. So let's say to make something, you'll use half a cup of sugar, 1 cup of water, and 2 cups of flour. Then the ingredient list in that package would be ordered like flour, water, sugar. So in order from most to least. The most this product has is flour, so that would be first. The second is water, so that would be second, and the last one is sugar, so sugar would be third. You'd be surprised when you look at the ingredient list how many things, sugar or other not so great things, are the first ingredient. Okay, so an example is the sourdough bread. This is from Costco. It's a sourdough bread, and here's their ingredient list. We have unbleached enriched wheat flour. We talked about the difference between the different wheat flours, so enriched, unenriched, and just whole. So this one is enriched wheat flour, and that makes sense because if you have ever made bread, obviously the main ingredient is flour. And then after that, we have malted barley flour, some more flour, some vitamins, which makes up for the fact that it's not whole flour. We talked about that enriched means that they add vitamins. So here are all the vitamins. They added water, sourdough starter, salt, and cultured wheat flour. And then sometimes they also give some stuff for people that might have some allergies. So like this one, it contains wheat. If you're gluten intolerant, you know that it has, you're not supposed to, it has wheat. So you probably shouldn't have it. Okay, the ingredients list is also a good place for you to confirm the claims that a product's advertisement has, or the things a product's advertisement might make you think. Because the point of advertisement is to have you make you want to buy it. But sometimes it's misleading. So the ingredients list is a good place to confirm these claims. For example, this juice seems awesome. It says organic and it says strawberry kiwi flavor, but when you look at the ingredient list, hopefully you can see, it just says water, organic cane sugar, organic pear juice concentrate, citric acid, ascorbic acid, and natural flavor. So it does not actually have strawberry or kiwi. The strawberry kiwi flavor probably comes from this natural flavor that they mention here. So at first glance, I might think, ooh, strawberry kiwi organic juice, that sounds great, which is actually what I thought when I saw this. I was really craving something like other than water, some kind of juice, but I didn't want to go to like the obvious thing like the Capri Sun pouches because that has a lot of added sugar. And so I looked at this one, I was like, oh, organic, strawberry kiwi, that sounds great. It's not like super artificial flavor like fruit punch or something. It's strawberry kiwi. But then I looked at the ingredients and I felt cheated. So I didn't end up buying it because it doesn't even have strawberry or kiwi. And also, if you look at the ingredients, at the serving size is 1 pouch. So 1 pouch has 11 grams of added sugar. So that's 22%, almost like our Oreo cookies. In 1 pouch, if I have 4 pouches in a day, and they don't even have that much liquid in them, if I have 4 pouches in a day, I couldn't have any, or shouldn't have any more added sugars. So the best idea. So it's better to just drink water. Even sometimes it gets boring, of course, but water is always the best choice. Here's another example. This package claims to be gluten-free. By law, it can't lie and say it's gluten-free if it's not, but it's never a terrible idea to check because a lot of gluten-free things can be made of different flours. So you can check the ingredient list and we can see that there is no wheat or wheat flour or wheat ingredients. Gluten-free means that it doesn't have any gluten, which is in wheat. So this one is made out of corn flour and rice flour. Sometimes they're made out of other kinds of flours, so a good idea to check as always. Here's another example. Real Greek yogurt should have probiotics, which are basically good bacteria that help your digestion and your intestines. So there are various normal yogurts. So there are a lot of normal yogurts, not just Greek yogurt, that claim to be good for your digestive system, like Activia, or that claim to have probiotics. And so in this case, you would want to look at the ingredients list to see if there really are probiotics. They should be listing the kind of probiotics they have. So in this case, you can see the name of the bacteria. So these are the bacteria, which are again are good bacteria. They're not gonna get you sick. And even you can look these up online. You can look up the name of the bacteria and look it up online and confirm if you want that they are considered probiotics. And then you can also see try to help you. It can help you decide maybe you want one that has more bacteria because you really want that probiotic benefit. Some have only one, and it's not even the best probiotic that you can have. So another reason why looking at the ingredient list can help us make decisions and really confirm the claims that these products make. Okay, here we can see the ingredient list of the Maruchan noodles we saw earlier. It's very long, and I'm not going to read it all because I can't even pronounce some of the ingredients. But the first ingredient is enriched flour, probably because of the noodles, because noodles are carbohydrates, they're made of flour. The second ingredient is vegetable oil, and the third ingredient is salt, which might explain the levels we saw of saturated fat and sodium, because second and third ingredient are the second and third highest ingredients, so really high amounts. Then we have a long list of things that are present in small amounts. So everything after here, where it says less than 2%, is stuff that is present in small amounts. An interesting ingredient that stands out to me is corn syrup solids. Where is it? Can't even find it because there's so many words. Well, somewhere here it says corn syrup solids. Um, and corn syrup solids is basically sugar. So, which is I don't feel like should go in a soup. So again, Maruchan noodles aren't super great. In fact, something that this illustrates is actually that a good rule of thumb when purchasing packaged products is to minimize products with long ingredient lists that have a bunch of names you can't even pronounce. To avoid products with long lists, and to maximize fresh products or packaged products with short ingredient lists. Here's another example. Here we have two different oatmeal options you might find if you go to Safeway or other stores. This is just the like store brand. So Signature Select is the Safeway brand, and then we have a popular brand, Quaker, for oatmeal. If we look at the nutrition labels, we see that the packet of oatmeal for the Quaker oats, each packet has 110 calories, some fat, some sodium, some fiber, which is good, and there's quite a bit of sugar. We have one packet. So this is instantaneous oats that comes in. They each come in a little packet. One packet has 7 grams of added sugar, so that's 13% of what you should eat in a day. So it's quite a bit of sugar for breakfast food. The ingredients aren't very long, so that's good. The main ingredient is oats. That's the first ingredient, so that's good. But the second one is sugar. It does these claims to be sugar. I'm sorry. These packages claim to be fruit flavored, so it's good. It has some fruit in the ingredients: dried blueberries, dried banana flakes, dried strawberries, dried peaches. So that matches the flavors it claims to be, and then some dried milk. So not super crazy ingredients. Does have quite a bit of sugar though. When we look at this one though, the basic oatmeal, we see that it's 150 calories. So it's weird. It has more calories. However, the serving size is a little bigger for this one. The packages were 30 grams of oatmeal, or 110 calories for 30 grams of oatmeal. This one's 40 grams, so it's a little more. So it makes sense that it might be a little bit higher in calories because it's more amounts. So 40 grams of this oatmeal has 150 calories. It also has a lot more fiber, which is great. So it has 4 grams of fiber. That's 14% of what you should have in a day. This one only had 2 grams or 8%. And it has 0 added sugars, which is awesome for breakfast food. And the only ingredient in this one is whole grain rolled oats. So this one has a shorter ingredient list. This one has the longer ingredient list and more added sugars. Um, so this is probably the healthiest option to buy. And it is also probably cheaper, especially since it's a store brand rather than the Quaker brand. If you buy, there's also going to be a Quaker brand for this just basic oatmeal. And it might be a little more expensive because it's a brand, like a known brand. This one is just a store brand, so it might actually be cheaper than the Quaker brand. So if you wanted to make these taste better, instead of buying oatmeal taste better, instead of buying the flavored oatmeals, which might not be the best health choice, you could try other alternatives like adding some real fresh fruit to this basic oatmeal, maybe adding a little bit of honey, make it with milk rather than water, and that will probably have also more nutritional value than buying these flavored ones. So here's an example of how I personally use a nutrition label one of these days and how I use the ingredients to make a choice about what to buy. Cereals tend to have a lot of added sugars and really not be that nutritious, but sometimes you just don't have time to make a nutritious breakfast. So cereal is the best option, especially me. I'm a student all day. I do homework, so I don't have a whole lot of time. So cereal, sometimes you just gotta do it. So I wanted to try a new kind of cereal while still trying to make it as healthy as possible. So these two cereals, which you can find at Safeway, are actually about the same price. These are the thin packages, not the family size packages. If you look at the nutrition info, we have the same serving size, 1 cup of cereal, 41 grams. This one has, for this serving size, this one has more fat for sure, but no saturated fats, which are the bad fats, which is pretty good. It has polysaturated and monosaturated fats, and saturated and unsaturated fats are better for us. This one, Cashie's brand, Cashie has less sodium than Kellogg's, so 115 milligrams versus 230 milligrams, so 5% versus 10% for the daily value. And a good amount less added sugars. This one has 7 grams of added sugars. This one has 11, so 14 versus 22%. So this one, the Cashie brand, also has less sugar. Cashie also has more fiber. So we have 18% of the daily value of 5 grams versus 3 grams, 11%. And Kellogg does have more of these added vitamins and minerals, but that is because they were artificially added by the manufacturer. Otherwise, it wouldn't be in the ingredient list, as you can see here. So I am not sure I particularly prefer that for those vitamins to be added by the manufacturer. If there's evidence, it's better to eat them from fresh fruit rather than from supplements or added vitamins. And the sugar in the cashew cereal comes from honey. As you can see in the ingredient list, we see that the sugar comes from invert cane syrup, which is not as processed as high fructose corn syrup. Cane is like where sugar comes from, table sugar. It's a plant. So that's better, and it comes from honey as well. While the sugar here comes from sugar syrup, malt flavor, brown sugar syrup, sorry, and other stuff, which makes its content higher. And I mean, it is still sugar, of course. Both have fructose, but and honey is mostly fructose. But honey does have its benefits because it's a natural product that it comes from bees that it's natural and it's made by animals. So it does have some nutrients. So hopefully you can see that although both of these cereals have the same amount of calories, the calories in the cashew cereal comes from more nutrients than the Kellogg's, and it has less empty calories than the Kellogg's. It has more fiber. It has some vitamins that weren't added. It has the honey, which has its own benefits. You know, it has some unsaturated fats, which are the good fats. Again, it has fiber, which is really good. So even though it's the same amount of calories, this one has more. Those calories come from more nutritional value than, and this one comes from empty calories. So I ended up getting the cashew cereal to see if I liked it, and it was good. It was definitely not as addictive as the Kellogg cereal or Cheerios. These are kind of like it's like a healthy version of Cheerios, so it wasn't as sweet as Cheerios, definitely. But it was good enough. I didn't need to be, addicted to it either. Some more interesting examples is this is peanut butter, sorry, Skippy peanut butter. Nut butters tend to be very fatty, so they have a lot of calories. The serving size here is 2 tablespoons. So 2 tablespoons of this peanut butter has 190 calories and 21% of the total amount of fat we should be eating in a day. So it also has added sugars, which is interesting in my opinion, because I never thought of peanut butter having sugar. And and it is the second ingredient. Sugar is the second ingredient, which is interesting as well. Here's another example. This is an info from a pulparindo, which I see a lot of pretty young children eat. It's sold in the Hispanic stores. If you look at the label, one piece, which is really not that big, one piece, it says the serving size is I think 2 pieces actually, 2 count per piece. I think that's what that's trying to say. It has quite a bit of sodium for a candy, which is interesting. So 400 milligrams, 17% of what we should have in a day. And an incredible 20 grams of sugar, which is 40% of the total amount of added sugar we should have in a day. 20 grams of sugar in a single piece. A piece that only weighs 28 grams. So 20 grams of sugar in a piece that weighs 28 grams. That means it's mostly sugar, which is crazy. If a child eats 2 pulparindos of these 2 pieces, they probably already had too much sugar for the whole day, and they should not have any more in the day, because remember, the percent daily value is based on an average, and for kids is usually the percent daily value is an average for adults. So kids will definitely should be eating less sugar than this. So if they already eat just 2 pieces, that's 80% of what the sugar an adult should eat. And this isn't surprising since the first ingredient is sugar, as you can see here by the ingredients. The first ingredient is sugar, and the third is corn syrup, which is also sugar. So they have multiple kinds of sugar in there, and corn syrup is really processed sugar. So the main ingredients are basically fructose. And remember that a lot of excess fructose can lead to excess fat in our body because it can be directly turned into fat. Now, I am not saying that if a child has 1 pulparindo, he will become obese, or even if he has one time a week. Obesity happens due to prolonged intake of excess calories. So they'd have to eat pulparindos like every day and be very sedentary and have other bad food habits to become obese. So remember, everything is good in moderation. a child can definitely have a pulparindo if they want, but it should be a very small part of their diet, and they should still consume other foods that are nutritious and hopefully do some physical activity like play outside so that they are not consuming more energy than they are using. Here's one last example. These are Cheerios. Cheerios have a lot of sugar. As you can see, 1 cup of Cheerios has 24% of the sugar we should consume in a day. Sugar is the second ingredient and just basic sugar. And then we have also honey, brown sugar syrup. So multiple kinds of sugar in here. So that's not great. It does have some fiber, which is good, and no saturated fats. So that's also good. And remember, kids eat Cheerios a lot. And remember that the percent of daily value is an average that the FDA has for adults, not for children. So adults definitely have a higher limit for added sugars per day. So children is going to be lower. So now we're going to talk about looking at, we're going to move on and talk about how we can get the most food out of our money. So we're going to talk about looking at price tags. So obviously we all understand the big bolded number. When I take this is, as you can see by the title here, it's a roll of toilet paper to the cash register. They're going to charge me $16.99. When I take this bottle of apple juice to the cash register, they're going to charge me $8.49. So we know what these big bolded numbers mean. And if there is another brand of apple juice that looks similar in size that costs, say, $5 instead, I might think that I should buy the $5 one because it's cheaper and I want to save money. But that isn't always the case. We really shouldn't be looking at the big bolded number when deciding which is the cheapest option. We should be looking at this, the price per unit. Usually it's price per ounce. Sometimes it might be per gram or something else. So this number is basically what you see when you buy fresh produce of meat from a butcher, for example. You don't get the price for one potato or for one piece of steak. You see the price per pound of potatoes or per pound of meat. This is the same thing, except it's just less intuitive because you only see these prices in packaged products. You don't, fruits and that kind of stuff is it's already intuitive for us. For this, it's less intuitive because it's a packaged product. So let's look at an example of how this number can help us find the price that is actually cheapest. Okay, so that's the number we should be looking at. So here's an example. I took this picture at Cardenas. There are 2 prices here, but you can't really see the top bottle because I couldn't fit it in the picture, but we have 2 prices here. So this one is $15.99, this one is $16.99. I'm gonna represent these bottles here because that's kind of what they look like. One was fatter, one was taller. So you might think, well, so we might think, oh, this one's cheaper, it's $15.99. And the $15.99 is also taller. So, and also you can see this one's fatter, but it's shorter, and this one's a little skinnier, but it's taller. So it might just, it might just like be the same amount, but it just got taller and skinnier. So it just moved up. And so that may make you think you should get the $15.99. Others of you might go one step further and look at how much actually is in each of these bottles. So it turns out that the cheaper bottle has 48 ounces of oil and the other has 68 ounces. But okay, yeah, that makes sense. The one that has less is still cheaper. So you should probably get that one. But I don't know about you, but I am not good at mental math and at visualizing numbers. I'm really bad at that. So the cheaper bottle is only cheaper by $1. So is that $1 actually making up for the lower amount of oil? That's the question that we can use that we can answer looking at the per unit price. Now, Cardenas doesn't give the per unit price. Some other small corner stores probably won't give you the unit price either. So I'm gonna show you how to calculate it yourself. Some stores do show the per unit price in the price tag, like Safeway and Costco and Walmart, and they'll show it small in the corner of the price tag. As you can see down here, they'll show it in the corner of the price tag. But I'm still going to show you how to calculate it in case you go somewhere where they don't give it to you. So you want the price or dollar per unit. So you want to divide the price by the total amount in the package. So for this bottle here, this is 68 ounces of oil and it costs $16.99. So you would just pull out your calculator on your phone and do $16.99 divided by 68 ounces. So you get $1 per ounce price. So in this case, the per unit price is 24 cents per ounce. So every ounce inside this bottle of oil costs 24 cents. In this case, for this one, we would divide 15.99 by 48 ounces. For this bottle, it is 33 cents per ounce. So in one ounce is 24 cents. And in this seemingly cheaper bottle, 1 ounce is 33 cents. So the choice where you are saving more money is actually the 16.99 bottle. It has more ounces and that makes it cheaper. So although you will pay one more dollar at the register, you will have more to use in your house. And in reality, you're spending less money overall because here you're paying 24 ounces per ounce, and here you're paying more per ounce. You're paying 33 cents per ounce. Here's another example. I'm going to start comparing some Cardenas prices with some Costco prices. So this bottle of oats here is $4.99 at Cardenas, while the one at Costco that is the same brand, Quaker Oats, is $8.99. So again, you might want to think that you should buy the Cardenas one because it's $4.99 and the other one is more expensive. Well, the Cardenas one only has 48 ounces, as you might be able, 42 ounces, sorry. Or even, this is even less ounces. I put 48 here. I think that's a 42. So hopefully you can see that it says 42 ounces. Let's give it more. Let's pretend it's 48 ounces. Um, so, well, the Costco one has 160 ounces of oatmeal. If you do the per unit price calculation for the Cardenas oats, you do $4.99 divided by 48 ounces, you get that each ounce of oatmeal is 0.103 cents. If you do that for Costco, the oatmeal is way cheaper. It's $0.056 per ounce. So although the day you buy the oatmeal, it might seem like you're spending more money if you buy the Costco oatmeal. So at the register, you're going to be paying more money. You're actually not. Let's say you eat 48 ounces of oatmeal for 2 weeks for some reason. At the end of the 2 weeks, you're going to go back to Cardenas and have to buy another one of these Quaker oats because you finished it. Let's say you eat 48 ounces of oatmeal in 2 weeks. At the end of those weeks, you're going to have to go back to Cardenas and buy another one. Then you would have paid $10, so $5 for each bottle. However, if you had bought the Costco oatmeal, you would still have oatmeal at home after 2 weeks. In fact, you'd have oatmeal for months, and it was only $8.99. So again, at the register, it seems like you're paying more, but you're going to have more to eat. You're going to have more at home, so you don't have to buy it again, which means in the long term, you're actually paying less money. Here's another example. These are some Cardenas eggs. It's 60 eggs for $10.49, as you can see. At Costco, 5 dozen eggs are $8.99, which that was just the basic eggs. So if you do the math on that, at Cardenas, it would be $0.174, so 17 cents for each egg. At Costco, 5 dozen eggs, which is actually also the 60 eggs, it would be 0.149, so 14 cents per egg. So a lot cheaper in Costco. So this is why Costco might be a really convenient and good way to save money, especially for large families. Costco sells things at lower prices because they sell things in bulk. So with the oatmeal example, if you go through a lot of oatmeal in your family, say maybe you have 5 kids or even 3, then it is definitely cheaper for you to buy that oatmeal at Costco instead of Cardenas. If you only buy food for yourself or maybe you and your partner, you probably don't need that much oatmeal. If you bought the Costco brand, it might expire before you even finish eating it. So in the end, you'll be wasting money because you'll have to throw away the food because it expired. My family and I, it's just 3 of us, and we shop for a lot of things at Costco, only the things that would be cheaper for us. So we don't buy vegetables at Costco, even though the unit is cheaper because we don't go through that many vegetables between the 3 of us. And since at Costco everything is in bulk, the veggies would just go bad in our fridge. We maybe go through we might go through 3 avocados in a week, but at Costco they sell like 10 avocados in one bag. You can't just buy 3. So the food would go bad before we eat it because it's just the 3 of us and we'd actually lose money. But we do buy a lot of things there because they really are cheaper and really do save you money. We get chicken there because we can freeze it so it won't go bad fast. And detergent, they have everything. So Costco sells basically everything, and almost everything is cheaper than from a local corner store. The membership to Costco is just $60 a year. So again, if you have a large family and you shop at Costco, you'll actually be saving a lot of money in a year, and that would offset the $60. The only downside to Costco, however, is that because you are buying enough food and products that will last, in our case, months, you do have to have the money at the moment you buy. So because you are buying food that will last you a long time, you will end up leaving there with a receipt that is $400 or something, which is not a lot considering you bought months worth of food, but you obviously have to have those $400 at that moment. So that's the only downside. Here's an illustration of what I'm saying. So this is orange juice from Cardenas, this one over here. If you look closely at it, it is 89 fluid ounces. If you look over here where it says how much it is 89 fluid ounces, and the sale price is $5.99. At Costco, they sell these two things of orange juice together. Together, they make up 250 fluid ounces of orange juice for $9.99. So if we do the math on these, the Cardenas juice is $0.06 per ounce, so 6 cents per ounce. While the Costco juice would be 3 cents, so 0.3 or 4 cents per ounce. You might think that you really wouldn't be saving that much. These two unit prices are only a few cents different, 2 cents of difference. But when you realize how many ounces you're really getting, it ends up adding up pretty quickly. So say you have a really big family and you usually would buy 2 of these orange juice bottles from Cardenas to last you a week. Let's say 2 bottles last you a week because you have a big family, lots of kids that drink orange juice. So one bottle is 89 ounces. And let's say you eat, like I said, you do 2 bottles per week. There are 4 weeks in a month. That means in a month, your family will drink 712 ounces of orange juice. From what you save from orange juice alone, so you do 712 ounces per month. And so you compare how much that would be at Cardenas and Costco. So you'd be saving $19.29 in a month from orange juice if you buy at Costco. And if you do that for the whole year, you'd be saving $231 in a year just from orange juice. So I just multiplied how many ounces you drink by each of the prices per ounce. So saying that you drink that much in a week, you would end up saving $231 a year just from orange juice. That already offset the $60 membership at Costco. Now, of course, this is a maximum estimate of how much you would save. This is assuming your large family drinks that much orange juice every week of the year, but you get my idea. So if you're capable of shopping at Costco, if you have a large family and you feel like food is really taking a huge chunk of the money you have every month, try out Costco. It's a great way to save money on groceries. If you can't do that, make sure you are always looking at the per unit price rather than the total price. Remember that the per unit price is small and at the corners of price labels. And if your store doesn't show you the per unit price, then just use a calculator and do it yourself. It will save you money in the long run. You might only save $5 or $10 each trip you have to the grocery store, but as you can see, it ends up adding up in the end, and you will end up saving more in a whole month than a whole year if you just look at the per unit price. Thank you so much for watching this video. Remember that everything is good in moderation, everything. Prioritize fresh produce and use nutrition labels, ingredient lists, and the per ounce price to make the best decisions you can make between packaged products and to save as much money as you can. Consider Costco if you have a large family and you think it would benefit you. There are 2 more presentations in this series. I hope you will watch them all and share this information with your family so that we can try to prevent cancer by improving our diets. And we will have also live cooking and recipes soon. Please visit our website and go to our health education page to see all of our cancer education videos and our nutrition videos. Thank you so much for watching.